Okay, this is a kind of a recap. It's a recap of verse of a lot of Lagyu, Vakya, Vritti, but specifically verse 16. Everybody's muted, yeah. So I know I had put the verse in at the top of these class notes, but we'll not say the verse because that'll be tomorrow. If you guys can attend class tomorrow and the next day, then that's the text completed. Okay. So over the course of this text, 16 verses, 18 classes. This is the second recap class. So over 18 classes, we've come now a long way. This teaching, it has been systematically unfolded by Adi Shankara. And this teaching, it's the teaching of Vedanta itself. And by verse 16, in actual fact, the teaching is all done by now. And in this class, we're going to review the foundational sadhana of Advaita Vedanta, which is Shravanam, Mananam, and Nidhyasanam. And in this class, we're going to explain that a bit more because explain it for those that are not familiar with Vedanta sadhana and what it is, and for clarity for those that are familiar, because getting understanding what sadhana is, especially Shravanam, as we're going to see, is crucial to understanding the knowledge. It's crucial to the Vedanta Pramana, the means of knowledge working, and which means it's crucial for freedom from suffering, for enlightenment. Swami Prabhupada taught, this is a little bit on the side, Swami Prabhupada taught the Dakshinamurti Stotram after this text in his ashram. And the Dakshinamurti Stotram, it's one of my favorite texts. Swami Prabhupada says that possibly the finest poetic work of Adi Shankaracharya. It shares the entire teaching of Vedanta with breathtaking poetic beauty. It's amazing. It took my breath away whenever I first went through it. So Swami Ramananda feels that this text, Lagyu Vakya Vritti, is in essence getting us ready for the Dakshinamurti Stotram. And we're going to look at this. We're going to do this next. So after this, we kind of went forward and back a bit. Should we finish the Samadhi part of Drikta Shivaka? Me and Ian spoke about this, but I think because Swami Ramananda taught the Dakshinamurti Stotram immediately after Lagyu Vakya Vritti, that we should do the same. Because the Drikta Viveka Prakriya is useful, but it's not the be all and end all. In actual fact, Puja Swamiji, Swami Dayananda warned against putting too much weight in Drikta Viveka. He said, I'm directly quoting, it leads people down a garden path. So Samadhi is useful, of course, but it's not just about Samadhi. Okay. Which is what the final chapters of Drikta Viveka are about. So we're going to the verse 17 and verse 18 of Lagyu Vakya Vritti is to do with contemplation, I.E. Nidhyasana. But it's going to be useful to look at the last verse once more and set the stage more with a stronger foundation for the next two verses. Vedanta admits something, that what Vedanta teaches isn't unique. How can it be? Vedanta teaches the truth, and the truth is universal. So it's taught in different places in different forms. Buddhism is an example. Nirvana is the same, equates the same as moksha. But what Vedanta does do that is unique is the method of the method of teaching, the pramana. That is completely unique to Vedanta. And we summarize it in 4 words. The method is the means, the pramana is the means in which enlightenment is revealed to you. There's 3 words plus another one. The first is Sravanam, second is Mananam, and the third is Nidhyasanam. And we'll go to the 4th. We'll come back to the 4th in a little bit here. Like everything else in life, the nature of a problem determines the nature of a solution. The solution has to be, of course, relevant to the problem. The problem has to be relevant to the solution. And in spiritual life, what Vedanta deals with is the problem of suffering. So in order to understand the solution of the problem, we have to understand that nature of the problem. The nature of the problem, it is avidya, ignorance, which is failure to understand your nature as Sat Chit Ananda. Existence, consciousness, limitlessness, or limitless. This is failure to understand that I am already full and complete. You already are that which you seek. It's simply unknown because of avidya, because of ignorance. It's unknown to the mind. So obviously then, the problem is one of ignorance. And if the problem is one of ignorance, well, the solution can only be knowledge. Yeah. And this is the foundation of Vedanta. This is Vedanta 101, Swami Ramananda says. Since the problem is now understood as ignorance and the solution is knowledge, we need a means of knowledge, which is what pramana is. We know this, we spoke about this before. So the problem is suffering due to avidya, ignorance, and we need knowledge that is a result of a valid means of knowledge. It can't be any kind of knowledge. The valid means of knowledge in Sanskrit, it's called a pramana. Let's say we want to learn something about history, then we pick up history books. If we want to learn something about medicine, we pick up medicine. But this kind of knowledge that we're seeking isn't any ordinary kind of knowledge. It's Atma Vidya, self-knowledge. This knowledge is extraordinary. So to gain the extraordinary knowledge, you're going to have an extraordinary pramana, an extraordinary means of knowledge. And that extraordinary means of knowledge is Vedanta. Through the Vedanta pramana, ignorance is destroyed. This sadhana, this Vedanta sadhana, Shravana, Manana, and Nidhyasana, is the Vedanta pramana. It is the Vedanta Pramana in operation, and it leads the person to discover that they are Sat Chit Ananda Atma, that this I is existence, consciousness, and limitless. Shravanam is loosely explained as listening, but it is much more deeper than that, and we're going to look at that now. Shravanam, the listening is the root meaning of Shravanam in Sanskrit, but it doesn't just mean that, not in regards to Vedanta. Because if we leave it at listening, for an example, say we listen to a friend complain, and after a few minutes, you're nodding your head, yeah, 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 yeah. Well, what kind of listening is that? What kind of use is that listening? So listening can be a problem because you start to switch off. That's one kind of listening. It's not the full meaning of Shravanam. That has no utility. Being half or partially aware of the teachings, it's not going to work. It's challenging enough as it is. Shravanam is using the teachings of Vedanta as a pramana, a means of knowledge. And this means that you have to use the teachings for the sake of self-discovery. They have to be applied. We're completely wasting our time if we just listen to Vedanta. It's useless. There's not going to be no benefit from it. Shravanam is applying the teachings. Listening and applying the teachings. Okay? We're not collecting information at all. There's absolutely no point in reading Upanishads like we're reading a novel. It's useless. That's not using Vedanta at all in any kind of appropriate, in any kind of beneficial way. So many people, they fall over the wayside with this because they think that listening to a teacher, they think that reading text, watching a DVD, listening to an MP3, ongoing, means that they're going to be free from suffering. There's absolutely no way. Swami Chimayanda has a famous quote saying, you've read 10 Upanishads, or you've went through 10 Upanishads, but how many Upanishads have went through you? Something I had to learn myself because I studied the Mandukya maybe over a dozen times, which tells a lot, not in a positive way. You study it once, that's good. And understand it, that's good. Yeah. Because what is being sought is unlike anything else, the method to reveal it has to be unlike anything else. So the immersion in the subject matter has to work in a different way than anything else. And so there's a question posed by Swami Vivekananda. Is your goal to study Vedanta, or is your goal to discover your true nature? It's a very important question because there is a huge difference in both. We don't want to learn Vedanta. Vedanta is a means to an end. Vedanta sadhana. Sadhana itself is Sanskrit for means to an end. We don't want to accumulate information. In actual fact, we're trying to get rid of information, not accumulate more worldly information. Yeah. So Vedanta is a means to an end. And the goal is Atma-vidya, self-knowledge. Shravanam itself is a process of seeking. a process of self-inquiry that's guided by the teachings of Vedanta. Vedanta has very, very specific methods, very, very specific ways of teaching, prakriyas, that have to be used in a certain way by a traditional teacher. And this is why the Vedanta Pramana is not reading a book, because the teacher interacting with the students is really, really important. You can't uncover this through a book or through a DVD or an MP3. It's not listening to something. Shravanam's not listening to something. It's working with the teacher, being guided by the teacher through a process of self-inquiry. So the Upanishads are there, the teachings are there, the teacher guides, but the student has to apply what they're studying, what they're learning to their conditioning. So it's like a three-part process. So Shravanam, Mananam, Nidyasanam. Shravanam is step 1. Mananam is step 2, Nidyasanam step 3. But there's a step 0. And this verse actually begins with it. I'll just say the first part of this verse for reference. Meditating on that, talking about that, teaching each other about that. So we're going to look at step 0 before we begin the text, which will be in the next class. Step 0, it's a step of preparation. Shravanam, Mananam, and Nidyasanam is the main spiritual practice of Vedanta. The main sadhana, well, it's not the main sadhana, it is the sadhana. But preparation is necessary as well. Because if you want to learn something, you have to be properly prepared. College courses, university courses, any kind of things, there can be, often there is prerequisites to enable you to understand the material. If you don't have those prerequisites, you won't understand, or it'll be far harder to appreciate and understand subject matter being taught. So there are certain steps in Vedanta for preparation that are required. And this is called the adhikaratvam. This is the means of being prepared for spiritual study. Preparedness is a good word. The word tvam at the end, it implies ness. Preparedness for the teachings of Vedanta, preparedness to use Vedanta under the teacher's guidance, and preparedness for self-inquiry. Three steps. God, I feel as if there's an earthquake. There's builders outside here, and they must be using drills and stuff. It's like the whole building's shaking. Okay. The mind, it has to be capable of grasping these teachings. And there are many factors required for adhikaratvam. One of those factors is the attitude toward the teachings of Vedanta. This next bit is very, very important. Your attitude towards the teachings of Vedanta is crucial. This text begins with the word Shradala, Shradalur, Shradala, how does it Swami pronounce it? Shradala. Shradalaha, Swami G pronounces. This is Shraddha, and this describes a student. It's the student who's endowed with faith, but faith isn't enough on its own. We're talking about Shraddha now, one of the qualifications. If you believe that you're a Brahmin, there's a really, really rhetorical point. So what? You believe you're a Brahmin, so what? Big deal, really? It's not enough. Simply believing that you're Brahmin is not enough. It's not. Swami Tapananda says it's not enough. He says it will change nothing. So you have to have faith, confidence in the teachings, to have Shraddha to the teacher, and to have a proper attitude. So before Vedanta sadhana begins, before we start Shravanam, Manam, and Nidhyasana, we begin the preparation of the student, which is what the qualifications is about. Karma Yoga and Vipassana Yoga and the fourfold qualifications. The fourfold qualifications is the Adhikaratvam, and it includes a proper attitude, Shraddha. Shraddha is the one who has faith in their nature as Brahman, that your true nature as Atma, the I, is none different from the reality in which everything exists. The I is not different from the reality of everything. There's a Mahavakya, another Mahavakya, I am Atma Brahman. Atma is Brahman. I, consciousness is Brahman. There's another one here, Lagyu, Vakya, Vritti, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. Tattvamasi is the exact same. It's all saying the same thing. So we have confidence, we have faith in that teaching, we have confidence in the teaching. And we have to inquire into that the mind is the cause for all people to suffer bondage. And the mind is the cause for freedom and enlightenment. But how is it the cause for freedom and enlightenment? And our thinking should be Vakya Vritti. Through the functioning of the Vakya, the Mahavakya, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. The Mahavakyas is the epitome, the pinnacle of Vedanta. You use your intellect, your buddhi, the power of your mind in union with the teachings of Vedanta. You do this to the extent of your ability at this point in time, because your ability grows. So when we start studying Vedanta, to be honest, not very much goes in. That doesn't mean the studies are useless though, because the first time we get a little bit, we get it a little bit, and for either every day, every month, every year, we get a little bit more and more and more. That's the way it is. The first time, a little bit goes in. The next time, we listen, but we listen based on what we currently know, which is a little bit than what we did originally know. So it just builds up and builds up. It carries on and we reach a little bit further. And this is ongoing partial understandings. This is Shravana, Vakya, Vritti, Vritta, according to your ability. This text, it doesn't speak of manana. Manana is very important. We're going to speak about it now a little briefly. Manana, it's for any doubts that you have, and it's normal to have doubts. Of course it is. Because the understanding is partial, doubts are going to be there, of course. It seems that A doesn't connect to B, and things don't make sense, and that causes doubts, it causes confusion. These doubts, they can get in the way of Shravana, which impacts further progress. The student will need an answer to the doubts, or else the doubts will nag and it'll prevent them from moving a little bit further. The doubts can be obstacles in the process of inquiry, and manana is for the removal of doubts. So Shravana is for immersing yourself in the studies and applying the pramana, applying them, and manana is for removing any doubts. Okay. This text is very, very short. It's very simple, so there won't be many doubts. The only doubt would be impatience in regard to the Nirvikalpa Chaitanya, the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Nobody can control Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Swami Paramatmananda teaches us in Director Veka himself. We just keep trying. We tried with great effort. The rest of the text is very, very simple. So that's why manana isn't really spoken about here. It's very, very straightforward. But what is really refreshing in Vedanta is that Vedanta is a spiritual tradition that encourages people to ask questions. all the great teachers have allowed this. All the great teachers have encouraged this. And not only do they, or have they encouraged great, or have they encouraged questions, they also raise questions themselves. And they raise questions in order to dismiss them. It's very important in Vedanta. That's manana. Nidhyasana. This is spoke about in the last line of verse 17, which we're going to get to tomorrow. It speaks of having gained knowledge. When does self-knowledge take place? Knowledge, it's the result of using the pramana, or apramana, means of knowledge, and shravana, that's where you use Vedanta as a pramana. Atmayana, self-knowledge takes place due to shravana. So the knowledge of you will be revealed due to shravana, but that knowledge isn't complete. The self-knowledge takes place due to adhikara, qualifications, being prepared, and due to the help of the teacher through self-inquiry, guided by the teachings also. It's revealed what you are. But once you know what you are, it's easy for people to think that that's it over. This is where this fully cooked thing comes in. They think, oh, I get it. I know I'm Brahman. No, it's only Shravana. So no, it's not it over at all. There's a third step, which is Nidhyasana, which is contemplation of Brahman. And you should contemplate Brahman continuously, constantly. And this is possible. How can I contemplate Brahman continuously and constantly if I'm going about my roles, responsibilities, and duties? We're able to do that through proper teachings. The proper teachings will show the non-difference, the non-separation. Okay, so it's easier to do this. The proper teachings will resolve all seeming contradictions. So by the time the person gets to Nidhyasana, then contemplating non-Brahman will be straightforward. It has to be, because Nidhyasana is about negating that you are a person, that I am a person. Nidhyasana is negating that I am a person. Nidhyasana is assimilating slowly that I am Brahman, which means that I am not a person. Since I am not a person in Nidhyasana, I don't need enlightenment. So I set that aside, I set a person aside. So it has to be contemplation on Brahman continuously. Okay, so that's just a recap and a sort of brief synopsis of Vedanta Sadhana, Shravana, Manana, and Nidhyasana. And tomorrow is going to be verse 17. And the next day, if you guys are available, will be verse 18. What's this? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah. Any questions? Okay.
Well, luckily, James, because what I got from him was a different explanation of Saravana Manana Nidhyasana. So which I have also taught to others. So
Yeah,
I'm a bit scared with this. So I did teach wrongly, and I'm really willing to let it go of that. But you know the difference, yeah? He
yeah.
teaches.
So James would have taught. This is the previous version of Vedanta that some of us came from. James would have taught. Would he have taught just Shravana was listening? Is that what he have taught? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So obviously, yeah. So that's a different. I'll say that's a different approach because this is going to go on the YouTube as well this year. So that's a different approach, okay? So what we're teaching the Arsha Sampradaya, Swami Dayananda, his direct disciples and his indirect disciples, like us, we teach in a very, very specific way. So it's it's all about detail and precision. One of the beautiful things about Arsha Vidya is that it's so precise. Some things, Arsha Vidya will teach that some things are not that important to get bogged down in, such as vrittis, mental activities affecting you, or vasanas, your tendencies or whatever. But in other ways, it'll be very, very precise. So you can see the sense, like if it's just, if we simplify everything, if we simplify the Vedanta Pramana, the means of knowledge, what kind of impact does that have? Yeah. If we teach that Shravana is only listening, well, we'll be sitting going about and doing our chores, listening to an MP3. And I've done it myself in the past, and so has other people. Swamini Brahmanand, I can't pronounce her name. You know, there's Swamini Amin, she's on Facebook. Yeah, Branan, yeah. She has taught before that whenever you're listening to studies, you listen to the studies. Don't be doing other things while listening to the studies. Would you do that in a class? Would you be sitting in a class in front of Swami Tarabanan and sitting to a crossword or go on your mobile phone? Well, you wouldn't do it. So, you give attention to the teacher. So it's not just about listening. It's not about listening. We have to fully engage with the subject matter, and we have to apply it, because this is the whole thing about what Swami Tarabananda says about so what. This is the point of the rhetorical so what. So you know you're Brahmin, so what? Who doesn't know that they're Brahmin here? This is clear to us all. Yeah, we all know we're Brahmin, and yeah, so what? It has to be applied. That Yanam, what Brahmin means, what being Brahmin means, knowing you're Brahmin means, has to be applied. Applied to what? Applied to your condition. Yeah, applied to your condition, applied to your values, applied to your reactions, your interactions, applied to all of that. Only then has it use.
Yeah, it's clear. And this is much more complicated than James,
Yeah.
and much more precise. And I like it. Actually, I like it because it's also much more clear.
Because it's much more, because it's how do you live Vedanta without living Vedanta? Is Vedanta just something academically to look at, or is Vedanta something that improves, enriches your life? If Vedanta enriches your life, there has to be some kind of dynamic attribute to Vedanta. So what is a dynamic attribute? Apply it to your life. Once you apply it to your life, it becomes your life. So Vedanta is for life. Vedanta is about you, which is that which is not alive. But Vedanta is for the person to enrich their life. So it has to be applied. So listening isn't a plan. Yeah. So Shravanam is for immersing yourself in the studies and for applying the pramana. It's a specific means of knowledge in a specific way, taught in a specific way. The way it's taught has a direct impact on how quickly you will be free from suffering and how quickly you will attain enlightenment. So Shravanam is for the immersion of the studies and the application. Mananam is for the doubts. Doubts are meant to come up. Questions are meant to come up. Questions are encouraged always, because it has to be that way. It has to be that way. And Nididhyasana is for one thing, which is contemplating the truth of the teachings, which is that you are Brahman. You are Sat Chit Nanda Atma Satyam Yananantam Brahman.
So Manana is also direct, not first Ravana and then Manana, because you can have doubts immediately while you tell something.
Swami Paramatmananda teaches these things can cycle. These things do cycle. Yes. Shravana, Mana in particular, you can see, like you said, you listen to something which is Shravanam, so you don't complete Shravana and then go to Mana and Mananam. The doubts will come up while within Shravanam. Yeah. So Shravanam, then there's some doubts, apply the Manamam, then further Shravanam, apply the Manamam, further Shravanam. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Okay. Any more questions, guys? We just got a minute. Okay, good. Everybody good? Yes. Is okay for tomorrow? Tomorrow, same time? Same time, same place?
I think I should be fine tomorrow, though I have to see you. Yeah.
Okay, guys. Okay. Namaste then. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Sweet guys.
Bye-bye.